So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the 4th generation Leon. The headlamps are now very much horizontal, a totally different design. The previous generation had a more wider headlamp with another angle down here. But at the same time, there are nice detailing around the edges. You also have this daytime running light signature, a very strong muscular bumper down here, flanked by these vertical gray cosmetic elements. These are all cosmetic inlays, but they still seem like they have some aerodynamic effect to channel the air towards the side of the car. Overall, a very striking bumper. The entire front of the car seems to be narrowing itself, coming towards the front in this very concentrated area. So the new Leon has certainly grown in size. It's now 4.37 meters long. That's about 9 centimeters longer than the previous generation. In fact, the wheelbase is also longer than the current Mark 8 Golf, the same wheelbase as the Skoda Octavia. So we'll see how that fares once we actually get our hands on the car and get to drive it out on the street and hopefully on the racetrack, because a longer wheelbase definitely means there's more stability, but sometimes that comes at the compromise of agility. But nevertheless, you do have some new wheel designs. This is the 19-inch wheel design. I really like this. This is also the plug-in hybrid version of the car, and we'll talk about the engines in a little bit. But this is also kind of having that pseudo aerodynamic electric hybrid kind of design, because it's got quite a lot of cover on the rims itself. But I do like the copper accents. Going further along the side of the car, typical with the previous generation Seat Leon as well as the other Seats and Cupras, there is one very sharp design line at the top, which fades away at the back of the door here. But at the same time, there is another line that's coming in from here. In the previous generation, these lines were a little bit staggered. You would have one line from the front coming down here and the line from the back going a little bit higher, but now they seem to be at the same level. So this also gives the car a much longer appearance. I personally like the rear of the new Leon because I think there's a lot more shapes, a lot more contours. It's very sculptural, very three-dimensional. And I actually do really like this horizontal LED light strip. This LED light in the rear also has a lot of cascading and animated functions. So when you unlock the car and lock it, the light will cascade all around. The turn indicators are also animated, so I think this new rear design is very cool. We see this in a lot of performance cars, especially in the Volkswagen family, all the way up to the Porsches. So I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. The sharper rake angle here for the rear window is a little bit more evident here, but at the same time you do have this very strong lip. Then you have like the scooped down section right here in the hatch. Cupra stamping, very bold and glossy black with that logo right in the center. As we go further down, as you can see right here on the nameplate, this is the e-hybrid, the plug-in hybrid version. So that means, unfortunately, if you take a look over here, yes, these are just cosmetic exhaust tips. But do not fear, the 2-liter turbo petrol engines do have actual exhaust tips, and I'm sure they sound great. But yeah, here you do have cosmetic exhaust tips in the copper finish color, kind of like a dual port exhaust kind of a design on either side, but there is a very nice rear diffuser as well. So overall, definitely very athletic, very youthful, and very sexy, I think. Here in the Cupra Leon, you get either a plug-in hybrid version like the one you see here, or the 2-liter turbo 4 petrol engine. This plug-in hybrid makes a combined output of 245 horsepower that was basically coming from a 1.4 liter turbo petrol engine and an electric motor and a 13 kilowatt hour battery. You can drive the plug-in hybrid for up to 60 kilometers on pure electric mode only, and you can charge it up to 100% in 3.5 hours with a wall box. But if this doesn't tickle your fancy, there's of course the 2-liter Turbo 4 petrol engine, a very versatile engine in the VW family, the EA888 that we know quite well. Of course, advanced now, and that you can either get with 245 horsepower, just like this, 300 horsepower, and 310 horsepower as well. The 245 and the 300 are front-wheel drive with a limited slip differential. And you get the 310 only in the Sport Tourer, the estate version, with all-wheel drive. Unfortunately, though, the bad news is there is no manual option anymore. It's all the new shift-by-wire dual-clutch transmission only. Take a look inside. First of all, there's a pretty cool puddle lamp here with the Cupra tribal art logo, which of course you cannot see now because it's quite bright in the studio, but that's pretty cool. The door opens really wide, so making ingress really easy. Let's take a look at the materials on the door. You have soft touch at the top, a nice contrasting glossy element of plastic inlay over here, so soft materials down here and here as well. And even down here, even though this is hard, it's got a nice perforated textured design, which I really like. So even though it's probably not a most expensive material, it still makes it feel very luxurious and very cool. Something new also about the new Leon is the LED interior light. So there's light down here, which provides a nice hue, but as well as along the top of the door, which continues as you look inside all the way along the top of the dash, kind of wrapping you in this cockpit cocoon like ambiance. The seats, by the way, are bucket seats here because it's of course the Cupra, so the performance version. And yes, you do get full textile fabric only options, which is really great to see. But of course there is also a full leather option. The one you see here is the black leather, but there is also a petrol blue. Let's get inside. Well, first of all, what really grabs your attention is this new steering wheel. And I must say, it does look really cool, really menacing, almost alien-like, like an alien starship from a video game, I don't know, with this logo and all of these this copper color. The vents, by the way, as you can see, the design is very similar to the front grille, so kind of has a very cohesive design language. A lot of shapes and, you know, like a little canyon over here. So it does feel very futuristic, very, very tribal. I don't know, I really like it. So first off, you'll notice the new 10.25-inch virtual cockpit digital instruments, and along with this very large 10-inch touchscreen as well. There's a lot of customization options with the instrument cluster, as you can see. Many different views that you can use, including having a map on the dash as well. You can even kind of customize the individual areas. Like right now I have 3 areas, and if I use this, I can toggle between different controls for this area. I can jump in here and I can toggle between my driver assistance systems. Like this has the adaptive cruise control, the limiter, side assist, rear traffic alert, front assist. This is also an advanced version of this technology. But at the same time, I can also control things like my vehicle status, oil temperature, so on and so forth. So a lot of useful information, maybe a little bit too complicated, but once we have our hands to do a full test and a full review of this car, spend some time with these systems, we can kind of tell you how we feel about it and what it has. There's also a steering wheel heating button over here. And as we move our attention to the infotainment system, of course, this is the top-end version. There's plenty of options that you can have with this, but as you can see, most of the controls are completely with this interface here. There are very few buttons, even for the air conditioning. You have to use this air conditioning system right over here. You can swipe, you can tap, you can make it hotter or colder, the temperature. This is the volume control over here. So it's not that intuitive. It does take a little bit of time to get used to it, and there is no capacitive feedback right now. So I don't really know if I'm pressing them hard enough or so on and so forth. But again, a full thorough test will reveal how these systems really fare. You do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay to connect your phone. There is an inductive phone charger port down there, a couple USB-C ports as well. So very clean design. We'll take a closer look at the center console, but I wish there were a few more buttons. And once the market specifications of the options are revealed, then we'll see what other options we have for the infotainment system, and if you can get one with actual physical buttons, which I would always prefer. Let's take a look in the back seat. The back door is actually a little bit longer now. That's also because of the longer wheelbase, and hence there is more body here. Another benefit of that longer wheelbase means that there is a little bit more space here in the back seat. As you can see, this seat is set to my driving position. I'm about 5'8" or 1.7 meters thereabouts, and even with the seat low, in a very low position, I still have plenty of knee room. There is just about enough space for me to slide my feet underneath the seat. The bench itself is really comfortable. The reclining angle is also not too steep or too relaxed. I think overall it's pretty good. Also nice arm headrest. So like I said, you do get the Cupra Leon as a 5-door hatch like the one here, but also an estate. The 5-door hatch has a trunk capacity of 380 liters, that's 380. The estate has 617 liters, that's 617 liters. But this is pretty useful in itself. It's very rectangular. There is very little, contours from the wheel arches. They're not, impeding into the space. It's very rectangular, very usable. There is a little bit of a lip, but you do lose some space as well because of the plug-in hybrid system here in this version. But on the whole, it is fairly usable. You also can remove the parcel shelf very easily and fold the seats in a 60-40 fashion, as you can see, to carry those longer items, and they do fold fairly flat, so you do have a flat loading area. Here we see the Sport Tourer version, the Estate version. Of course, this is longer. This is 4.64 meters long. The trunk capacity is, of course, significantly larger. This is 617 liters. But the design lines are pretty much the same. You do have one large line in the front and the one in the back, like the one we saw in the 5-door hatch as well. In this new generation, the line is pretty much along the same. It just fades away for a while, but it's in the same level. A large side skirt as well. We have some different wheels here, and this is because this has the 2-liter petrol engine only. And the Estate you can also have, with the 310 horsepower all-wheel drive. The full top flagship version is only available in this Estate configuration. So we had a very quick look at the world premiere here for the new Cupra Leon. Fortunately, we didn't get to drive it, but that's going to be coming up in a future episode, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Overall, I think the design is a lot more fresh now, has its own unique identity, a bit of a departure from the previous generation, but performance-wise as well, there's more options with a plug-in hybrid version as well. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like the new plug-in hybrid version as an option, and would you pick that, or would you stick to the full petrol version only? Let me know, put it down in the comments below.